Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sunday Service. I am your host, Sister Stephanie.
And I'm your host, Sister Sally.
And we are so excited about this episode today because we have on no one other than Miss Brittany.
Brittany Berger. She's the owner of Mindful Music Lab. We mention her all the time.
I think in every episode so far.
Yes. So we thought we'd bring her on and talk a little bit with her and what she does and what she's done for our lives and this podcast. And we switched up the space so that we're out here in the middle of Mindful Music Lab. So we're super excited about that. Welcome, Brittany.
Welcome.
So excited.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you.
To be sitting next to you.
What an amazing day. It's, I think, episode 4 right now?
Yes.
And we were planning on having guests after probably like our 5th, 6th episode, but then we were like, girl, there's no rhyme or reason to any of this. We just want to have a good time, have good people on the podcast, have good conversation, and I think that this is exactly what needed to happen.
What
like
a perfect person to be the first.
Yeah,
I guess.
Exactly.
Love being the first.
So why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself? I remember the first time I met Brittany, I was like, whoa, this is, you are a force. And there was a lot to digest, but I was like, the fact that a human like you just fell from heaven onto our laps and we all got to just entangle ourselves with each other, like that was such a blessing. And like,
it was fate.
It was fate,
for sure.
bitch.
Definitely.
Oh, I love
It
it.
really
Thank
was.
you. I appreciate you guys. I love watching you guys come in here every week and just
Do our thing.
doing your damn thing. Love the change of scenery, but yeah, I'm grateful to be on this day of service.
Yes, we're so grateful to have you. So we kind of wanted to like roll from our last episodes. We talk a lot about like our purpose and like why we're here and just like our intentions. And Brittany does a lot of that type of work. So I think we'll just like get right into it.
I think that was the craziest part about how all of this came together was the fact that you are who you are made it 10 times more like, wow, we cannot ignore this happening for us because it just makes sense. I needed someone in my life who was encouraging us to do this. I mean, we had people and we have our people, but then to sprinkle you on top of that was like, wow, what a breath of fresh air. And, you know, to have someone who does what you do, which we'll get into, and be there to like give us the little pep talk that we needed before the first episode. And then every other episode before that has been really amazing. And it's helped me a lot, honestly.
Yeah, I think the environment here just has made it and set the tone for our podcast. Like we've talked about it before, but we tried to start filming at another studio and we just like weren't feeling it. It wasn't like, it didn't make us feel good, you know? Like we walked away feeling like, like was that really what we're doing?
Right,
Like,
the
I
whole
don't
exchange
think so.
was just not this. This is like,
It feels like you're home.
yeah, it
And
really
a breath
does.
of fresh air.
It really fucking
And we
does.
had our little sound healing
Yeah,
that
we had
day.
a-
Do you remember?
yeah, we
I was like,
did.
I'm bringing you into the room.
And we
I love
had
this.
a couple other people with us who were just watching and we all did it together. That was so fun.
Yeah,
I wish we could do that every time.
it was
Oh my
amazing.
God. We've done it in both rooms.
Yeah.
I think the first time you guys came in here, I brought you in there and had you guys take a deep breath and just say that like when you have an idea in life of something and you want to do it and you don't know how to put action behind it, it's the thought, it's thinking who do you know, who knows who, and manifesting what would be the perfect best case scenario in the situation. And I feel like this was it. And this is why I created Mindful Music Lab, to just also have a space for people to create where they feel safe and they feel free and they're able to carry out everything that they want, especially for women.
Right.
And
That's like the main
Yeah.
thing is the woman, like that ties into like what we talk about a lot.
for sure.
So that's why we wanted you on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is just sister time.
Yeah.
Like that's what we're doing here. You know, when
Love
you're
it.
chilling with your sisters, your best friends, and you know all the good people in your life, this is when you have the best conversations. And to touch on what you just mentioned about like executing and being in a place where you're having action behind the things that you say that you want to do or you dream of doing for so long, like that was my biggest problem. And I still feel like I have moments where I'm like,
Because you doubt
struggling with
yourself
that.
sometimes.
All the
But you
time.
don't need to. But you don't need to. And
I
I feel like in
know.
life, it's like, also because I'm an intuitive channeler, we'll get to that, but
Yes.
it's limiting beliefs and
Yeah.
feeling like can I do this? And what does it take? And
It's
how do I
like-
get there?
It's like on one shoulder, I know who I am and I believe this and I got this and I'm powerful and everything. And then there's like this devil that wants to just talk me out of shit. And I really don't want to be that person, but I am. And then to, be here and have met you that day when your message was that to us, like we're here to follow through. We're here to just do all the things that you say
Get
you
it
want to
done.
do. I was like, this means something. This happened for a reason. I needed to hear this and I needed this more than you guys know. And
I'm
it's
so
just,
proud of you guys.
it's been
And I
really
think
amazing.
it's taking the pressure off, because sometimes we think it's like such a big deal.
Right.
And in reality, it's what probably nourishes your soul now, that I would only hope and I feel that that's something that you guys look forward to every week, because you're like, I've been wanting to do this for so long.
Oh my
and,
God, 1,000%.
And it just shows the process of life. Like, you guys have wanted to do it. You even tried. It didn't work. And it doesn't mean that it didn't work because of you guys. It was because of the environment. Like, wherever you are in life, it's like if you're going on vacation somewhere, you're going to a certain school and people switch universities or whatever it is all the time, or even your gym and whatever it is. It's like something serves you at one point in time, and then in other times it doesn't. And that can also be back to relationships or jobs or whatever it is. But your environment that you create for yourself, especially when you're a creative,
Yes.
is really important. Just like when you think of when you're sleeping in your bedroom, it's like, where's your bed facing? Is there stuff cluttered? Do you have clothes everywhere? Like, is a TV blaring, taking up the entire wall? It's like, how do you feel the most calm and at peace to be able to think and be at rest with your spirit?
Yeah.
And where I believe, like, with your bedroom, bedrooms should be used for two things.
I'm so curious about this. Now that you're talking
Sleep
about it.
and sex. Like, I don't have a television in my room.
That's smart.
And I lived in London at a certain point in my life, and it's a British thing. Like, they don't have TVs in their room because that's what they say. It's like sleep and sex. And so with my apartment, I didn't have a TV in there, and I could have put one. And I was like, I'm not going to, because I also don't want to linger and lay around in my bed. Like, I want to have this place and understand where my mind is, because I wrote my first book on my bed in my other room with a TV, and even though that worked for me at one point, it's like now when you feel your space and energy of people around you and who you are is a reflection of your energy and your environment.
1000%.
So you want it to be a place that feels at home and at rest, and that you're just like, I'm ready to fucking do this.
Right.
And you have to remember, and I say this all the time, to live life as if the odds are in your favor. Because the moment that you listen to the devil on your shoulder, the devil does not pay rent.
Period.
Kick that shit off. Doesn't deserve to be here. You are one, you are yourself. And you have to remind yourself, like, what brings me joy today? And everything that doesn't needs to be put on the shelf and disappear.
Right.
Or, like, instead of leading with fear and doubt in certain areas of your life, you have to be like, I lead with love.
Yeah.
Or let me just try to take a step and motivate myself today.
Yeah.
And just see where that gets me.
Yeah, I think so many people operate on fear, and fear makes us do crazy things, like really crazy things that really could fuck up your life.
But allows you to be brave, and
Yeah.
allows you to have opportunity
Right.
to keep going. Because if you let fear cripple you, you're stagnant. You don't go anywhere. But if you allow it to fuel you, like a workout, being like, oh my God, can I do 100 burpees? 1,000%. We don't think twice. We have somebody new at the beginning of their fitness journey. They're like, what is a burpee? Oh my God, can't even do a push-up. You work your way up to it.
Yep.
So it's so similar in different areas of our lives, how to move forward with your purpose, what you're supposed to do. So like, I thought 6 years ago, my purpose was writing my book. And at the time it definitely was. And a lot of people, 25 and Selfish, shout out. And a lot of people told me not to write this book because I had a corporate job. I was making great money. I was also a fitness instructor. I got into like all these other side hustles that I was just always loved to make money and always wanted to be able to support myself and not have to rely on somebody else, because my dad worked so hard and he's a self-made man, and I always like learned from him. So I felt like, oh, spring break, people are going to vacations. Yeah, I was blessed to do that also. My dad's like, want to make like $10 an hour. And I thought that was fucking great when I was like 7 years old. So I'm like, yes, like let me make this money. And so back then it was to just help people really choose themselves and see their authentic selves and be that person, and being like, who you are is okay. And if you think that someone in your circle or your life doesn't love you and you're trying to be the best version of yourself, that's not on you. It's a projection. And kind of learning what that's like and embracing who you are and being vulnerable And fast forward after being a motivational speaker and a mindset coach and Reiki energy healer and sound bowl healing and meditation and fitness, la da da da.
Period.
Now songwriter, A&R, executive producer, founder of Mindful Music Lab. Now my purpose is to heal the mental health of the music industry, in addition to creating community with women and also with men, and being vulnerable and healing and learning how to just expand and grow the positive light that is in this city and beyond, and allowing people to have space where normally they wouldn't know where to go, or where they don't have space to just create and be you and like follow your dreams. And I don't think anything is impossible. Like I actually don't think anything is impossible. And I think so many people told me that me doing this was, and I didn't believe them. And I was like, I had to reflect. So I think if you're in a space where you want to do something and you're curious about it and you know how to move forward, reflect on everything that you've done in your life until now.
Right.
Because for me, I literally wrote a list of everything that I've done, and I was like, have I failed at anything? And I'm not saying that I didn't, but I really achieved to the fullest everything that I've tried, because I tried so hard. And like, I've always worked so hard, and I wouldn't allow myself to fall back. And if there was something that I learned about that I wanted to be involved with that I didn't want to move forward with anymore, then I would like choose grace. And I'd be like, I'm not interested in that now. I'm going to let that go. Like, even when I danced my whole life and I became a fitness instructor and I started teaching dance, and then I didn't love it anymore. I didn't love it animour. And so I stopped, and then I got into boxing, and I didn't love it anymore. So I stopped, and I did strength training and like all these different things.
It shows like how much we're continuously changing, like just because you're
evolving.
It's never ending. And we talked about this, I think, in every episode, but like, that's the cycle.
And it goes with your life.
Right.
And especially like who you're in a relationship with at a certain point in time too, because that's also huge. And like having your life around that, or where you're living in a city and moving, you know? And so I think like, I know now, like this is my purpose, but I also know like one day when I have a family and all that stuff, like I'm probably gonna have my own school for kids. Because I don't know, like when I'm thinking ahead and I hear all these horror stories about kids, I'm like, wow, like why isn't mindfulness and meditation even something in schools, which I will create a program eventually.
To think about it, crazy. How much different would you be had you grown up with that being instilled in school?
Yeah.
Like I would be a completely different person, but instead we were learning how to, I don't even know at this
point. I feel like that would be like an easy thing for you to introduce into schools though.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Like on Instagram, and I was scrolling, and I saw this thing about a school in like, I don't even know, Georgia or something like that, hosting like a satanic Satanism group. Terrible. And these kids were in elementary school. Yeah, and it was optional, like it wasn't required, but like they were allowing it.
Yeah.
I was like, that's fucking insane.
Yeah, like that alone makes me like, I mean, I want to have kids, but that makes me not want to have kids to, like, what?
Like, that's crazy.
What?
But, and for that, like, I mean, like, why are we not having...
Yeah, because there's, like, prayer in school, in some schools, right? Or you have, like... What do you do in the morning these days? Like, Star Spangled Banner? Like, I don't even know what happens in schools. But I'm like, if you had something where everybody closed their eyes for a moment, they took a deep breath, there was meditation music on, maybe it's only 2 or 3 minutes, and you have people say an intention to themselves of like, how do you want to feel today? What energy do you want to carry? Like, what brings you joy?
Yeah.
However you woke up and whatever your circumstance was, choose again, and how you navigate that mindfully. And that's not incorporated into schools. And I've asked people before who do work in education, and it's something that a lot of people are on board to do, and I wish I had more time to really funnel it and lead the pack, which I know it'll happen eventually. But
definitely.
even in terms of my friend Sarah Akiba, you guys should have her on. She has a philanthropy called AWAM, Angel Watching Over Me, and she has this girls club, and she mentors girls in middle school and high school, and she does this kindness contract and has a safe space for them and donates hygiene products and meals for Thanksgiving and Christmas gifts, and if people need anything. And so within the school system also, it's like, what more can we do for these kids to be able to show them there's another side to all of this?
Right.
You know, and like, what more can we do for our youth, and knowing like they can eat a cereal box, but they don't know how to like make an egg or change a tire one day or something. Like, we need to also learn these things about life in general when you're not taught before.
Totally.
You know?
I think I'd be a lot more well-rounded had I learned about taxes, had I learned about how to,
so true.
you know, write a check. Like, what? I didn't
I mean,
learn
like,
this
don't let me
stuff.
get into like me thinking that school is not it. But
Brainwashing,
I
just
mean,
not it. Because I honestly feel like if I had any of that, because I didn't have, I'm so new to this as far as like, you know, being mindful and meditation and stuff. I mean, I wouldn't say new, but like I didn't know about this stuff growing up, you know? And I would just be a completely different person if I knew how to do that at a younger age. No shit, I have a devil on my shoulder talking me out of shit because I never had any outlet or anything to like remind me that it doesn't matter how much you can reflect on yourself. Like sometimes the outside noise creeps its way in and it's
well, and just
hard.
like that approach, like, because I grew up super religious, and for a long time, like, I rejected it. I was like, I'm not going to church. I'm not going to church school. I'm not doing any. Actually, I'm going to do the opposite because you want me to do it. You know what I mean? Like, so like, but incorporating that type of like meditation and stuff like that and breath work, like I feel like that's just like something that is a tool that everybody could use.
Absolutely.
It's not like telling you to go either way,
Right.
But it's giving you, you know.
And throughout life, you're different versions of yourself. So like I know I was a different person in high school and in college and when I wrote this book and now and 3 months ago. Like
And yesterday,
and,
probably,
I think that's beautiful. Like we all, no one's perfect and we're all in this human being experience and this journey. And depending on what's happening to us and with us and surrounding us and what we listen to and what we do and how we vibrate higher, we just become different versions and we have to make sure that we become the best version throughout all of that. And that's just being self-aware and just reminding yourself that like you're important and you matter and you're loved. And even if you don't feel loved in that moment or your life pivots or changes, you have to believe it's for a reason. And that I always say, if not this, something better. So when things shift and pivot, I'm like, okay, this is happening and this probably looks like bad or the alternative response that I would have wanted or expected. But in reality, it's supposed to happen this way. So you just got to be chill about it. Like to make sure that nobody really disturbs your peace and that you don't get frustrated often. And there's times like, I feel like there's a lot that doesn't bother me usually, but when have a lack of sleep, then it's harder. And then I realize things will like bother me or frustrate me more. And then I'll beat myself up and feel guilty because I allowed like a reaction to like trigger me or like you have to walk away and take a deep breath or you're just like, I'm tired today. How do you communicate that with people so they know that you're not like acting different. You're still who you are. You're just having a day that's a little bit heavier than the rest of the days. Because I don't like to use the word hard because I feel like anything that we say, it's carried with an energy. So if you just say like, oh, that was heavy, but I can put it down. You know, or I can give myself a moment.
It was like that video that you shared, and then once I listened to, I shared it like 3 times after that. It was this guy. I don't know if he was like preaching or what he was doing, but he was talking about like giving people grace. Like not every single day is going to be our best day, and even giving yourself grace. You know, like just because I was good and in a good mood and feeling on top of the world yesterday doesn't mean I can show up as that version of myself today. I mean, hopefully I can. Hopefully I do. Hopefully we strive to be our best selves every single day, but we're humans.
Well, and today that was you and that was enough for today. You know, it's like that. I think you shared something.
Maybe.
But it, like same sort of line. Like
totally.
If this was enough, like I showed up like this today, that was the best I could do. And like, it's enough.
Right.
Like,
putting in that effort
you know?
to just be better. I really think that for me, personal training and incorporating that into my life and then training other people and even doing the work myself and getting my body to the best place it's ever been in my entire life took a lot of work, but it taught me so much. And it training other people and working with them and helping them work through things and work out made me see a little bit more in myself and what I have to offer to people. Like, wow, not only am I helping people get right in the gym and stuff, but I'm helping them like feel better mentally. And that taught me something, and that's what brought me here and compelled me to do a podcast and just like speak on the things that I'm passionate about, because I found that I felt more in my purpose doing that stuff than I did, you know, training, which I still love and I am passionate about it. But like these type of conversations and having them with people who are going through it and that don't have people like us around, need this shit.
Yeah.
They do. Everybody needs it. And like, there's so many people that don't feel like they think. I was just talking about this yesterday. Like, I think fucked up shit all the time in my brain. Like, I think about really, like, and it'll cross my brain. I'm like, what the is
You can
that?
like grab it though from
Like,
your
what
brain and
is
be
that?
like, let me
But
see.
like the fact that I'm aware of what I'm thinking and that it's not necessarily like, I'm not like wrong for it. I'm just like
Human.
You're not your thoughts.
I'm human. Yeah.
It's okay.
But to talk about it is like a whole nother level. Like
Right.
to actually
Because when you
voice
were
it.
younger, you probably didn't have the outlet to be able to
Yeah.
communicate effectively. So it's like now what I like to do is talk to myself from my higher self. So I'm my own hype woman as well, you know? But realizing when you have these dark thoughts or these negative thoughts and you're just like, why am I thinking this way? Why am I beating myself up? We take a deep breath because you automatically release that resistance and that energy. So like if we took a deep breath every single time you thought something, any of you, you know, it would automatically calm your neurological system.
Recenter
and your
you.
nervous system.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, let me zoom out for a second. Am I thinking something that hasn't happened yet? Like my friend said that fear is false events appearing real,
Yep.
things that haven't even happened. Or is it something that's bothering you that if you realize you continue to say it, again, it's like carrying an energy which will manifest.
Right.
Or you're like, wait, I take it back, I cancel it, and I put it on the shelf for a moment. Because when I think of things like that, I'll objectify it, like put it like an object as like a ball in my hand, and I imagine like there's a shelf and I just put it there, and I'm like, don't think that, like that's not real. You don't need to think this way, or like or a past trauma or wound will come up, and you're like, wow, that actually sucks, but that's really cool because I caught it. Let me heal that shit right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Exactly.
And tracking it. Oh, and like back to reflecting on like everything you've done to be able to move forward. It's the same thing with your thoughts, being like, remind yourself who you are. And maybe you have to write in your notes like 10 really beautiful things about yourself. And I know for some people that I work with, because it's like basically you're a therapist, I'm a therapist, and you're a therapist for all of our clients, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to have so much self-love that you can't let anything or anybody rock you. And we don't even do it from a place of like superiority or hate or anything like that. It's more of like, I work so hard every day, every second of the day to make sure that I'm good and that I have enough self-love to overflow my cup, not fill it, like tundra, you know?
Yeah.
That I won't allow negative thoughts to flood in or pass because I'm in such a flow state. Like that's where I want to be. So I work towards that every day. So like we can't have anybody rob us of that self-work. So it's like even when you're in that zone, be like, let these thoughts flow like a river through one ear out the other, or through the top of my head to the bottom, and you take that breath, or you take two breaths, and then you realize like you'll go days without a negative thought.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, that's so
the
cool
goal.
because I would have responded differently
I
to
think
that situation.
It takes time to get to that point too. Like
Well, it takes
takes
work.
It's your
takes
journey.
a lot of work.
Right.
Yeah.
It's your journey.
No, I feel like I just like got to that point like the other day. Like
Yeah.
literally.
Mazel.
So
Yeah.
Proud of you.
Thank you.
So proud. Snaps.
I even think like, you know, referring back to last week's episode and the things we were talking about, when you're in a place of self-love and like you respect yourself so much because you're putting in the work and you know that you know who you are, you can reflect on the decisions you make and you're okay with yourself because you know that you're trying to be better, and as long as you're trying and you're striving for that, then
Yeah,
no
that's
one can
good
tell you
enough.
shit. But you'll find that you won't run into situations where people are wildly disrespecting you or hurting you or taking advantage of you because you don't allow it.
Right.
You don't allow it when you have that for yourself. And that's everything. That's like what I think every single female, let alone human being, needs to master.
Yes.
Because then it would just be such a nice place to live. Like people wouldn't be hurting each other and ruining people and manipulating people. It's scary out here, bitch.
It is. It's fucking
It really is. So
scary.
at least do this shit. At least be able to nourish yourself. Like even the other day, Brittany hosted an amazing event here at my Mindful Music Lab with Coffee with Carly. And I do this on my own, but it would just hit different this time. But saying out loud, like, I love myself. I am strong. I'm worthy. Like saying that shit out loud did something to me.
For
I was
sure.
like, let's go. We're doing this podcast. Like, I can't wait to be back here next
love
Monday.
that.
Like, it really did
Yeah.
so much for me. And then throughout the whole weekend, I carried that.
Imagine
all
doing
weekend.
that every day.
Yes.
You should do it every day.
Every day, right?
Absolutely.
The power of I am
Why
is
don't
so
I do
strong.
that every day?
I know, because
better
it's so
start.
easy to like, yeah, but you better start. But it's so easy to think that, you know, you're good and you're trying to be better or whatever. But those little things that you can add into your every single day practice, or just when you wake up, just remind yourself, you know? I know, like, anytime I've had a friend that was really going through it, I'm like, girl, you need to remember who the fuck you are. And it's like, how can we do that for ourselves?
And we literally tell this to our best friends all the time when
Right.
they're going through a heartbreak or like having a bad day. Why are we not?
We need to take our own
speaking that,
advice. Yeah.
to ourselves.
And having people in your life who are familiar to this and we do this, like, I don't really have anyone else in my life who's not on that same page right now, and that's fucking amazing. And anyone who does come in that, you know, I can help or whatever, I'm going to be pushing this on them, because then we can all collectively be better and be feeling better and just killing it, like doing shit like this, sitting here and having these conversations and doing something that felt so scary for so long. I'm chilling.
It's I call it the hype woman exercise, when I'm like, yo, be your own hype woman, you know?
Yes.
So that way, that's why I'm like, write down 10 things, like why you're amazing, why you love yourself, like what have you done? Like, especially I know relationship wise, like I would have like some suitors in my life and then realizing like I didn't want to be with them. But then also I didn't want to be with them. But then sometimes I felt some type of way. If I felt like not in control in some situation, I was like, bitch, remember who the F you is, you know? And I'm like, let me show you.
Sometimes you say it just like that.
You know? Like,
Yes.
like reminding
Yes.
yourself. It's to a point where now it's just like, are you good enough for me? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Like, do you meet the criteria? That's the
You
real
probably
question.
don't, because I'm a
probably don't.
unicorn.
Yeah. And
Gotta
I
find
want
another
everyone
unicorn.
to feel that way.
Gotta find
Everyone
another
should feel that
unicorn.
way. You guys are unicorns.
Of
I'm
course.
a unicorn.
But so
We're
many
all
people
unicorns.
settle. It's true, but so many people settle and then they feel like there's so many rules on things, and you just gotta like be you, do you, love what you love. Like, honestly, I think that,
No
I
one
just
can
want
take
to
that away
save
from you when you're so positive
everyone.
about you. I know, right? But me too. That's why we're here.
Yeah, that's why we're
Here.
This
And
is
that,
it.
I mean, that really was like the crazy part about how all of this came together, was like, whoa, this is every single thing that we needed in every aspect. Like, just being involved with you and your mission and like what you're here to do. That really helped me feel a lot more positive about
I'm so glad.
how good this is.
Yeah.
I know I was like almost gonna push you a little bit more, because I was like, this is your week.
Yeah.
Come
wake
on
up.
in.
Yeah.
This is your week.
Yeah.
But it's all when you're ready. And it's like, we get to the cliff and then we're afraid to jump because we think we're going to fall. And I'm like, you're going to fly and soar.
I think what I realized too is like, there's never a perfect time. It's
No,
just never
for
going to
nothing.
happen.
Oh,
And then you're
never.
going to wait and you're going to push it off, and then something's going to
God's
happen
time.
that derails your life. And then and now it's really not the right time. There's never a right time for anything. So do it now. Anything you feel passionate about or that you feel compelled to do it. It's not that serious. I could
say
leave
this
here
every
and get hit by a
time.
bus,
Yeah.
get hit by the train.
God forbid.
God forbid. But like, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So do the stuff that feels good for you. And then
Yeah.
you'll feel better on a daily basis when you wake up.
It's so funny because I feel like my whole life I always knew the next steps that I was going to take and what it looked like or what I thought it would look like or where I wanted to go. And now I'm in a place where it's like where I knew I was like building this for like, I thought of it less than a year, built it.
The space you're saying?
Like the whole idea. I was like, I want to own my own studio. What would that look like? How do I want it? What is it going to be called? Where would I do it? Like, what would it look like? Who needs to be involved? How much is it going to cost? Like all these different things. And being here now and having this. And I remember back to my friend Sarah again, she said to me, she was like, don't control what the space is going to be. Like, let it show you.
Right.
Like, be surprised by it. And I was like, wow, you're right. Like, didn't think I'd have people coming in here to also just record meditation and sound bowl healing, something they've always wanted to do, but didn't even know how to start that. You know, in addition to like, I didn't realize how many podcasts that we would actually be doing where it's like, I wish I had a podcast room.
Podcasts are coming out.
Let's
everywhere.
go, everybody. We have a beautiful
We
space.
love that.
Shout out to Snell Productions.
Period.
Shout out.
Shout out to Aiden, our master
Shout
man. Yeah, and now I'm just like, wow, we're here. And I know so many people want me to like start my own label and my own management. I am starting my own publishing. But in addition to everything else, I'm just like, it's so cool because I'm purposely not bringing myself to like a 5-year plan or something. I'm just trying to really be present here. Today is my 2 months.
Oh my God.
I'm so great. Thank you. We're so pumped.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I was like, wow, it feels like I've been here forever. And you just have to let like life discover you back as you're discovering it.
Right.
Because you could think something turns out to be one thing and it can be so much better, but you also have to be patient and you have to believe and you have to have faith and patience.
Well, you really have to just let go of that idea of control, because we have control over nothing other than how we decide to show up every single day. Like, there's nothing else that you have control over. Anything can happen at any given moment. That's the only thing you have control over is your brain and what you're thinking in this moment.
I think
and
we
being
talk
present is
about that a
everything.
lot too, relinquishing control and just like letting what's meant for you.
Just let go.
Be
And
meant for
enjoying
you.
it.
Yeah.
You have to enjoy every moment. If you don't, it's robbing you of your happiness.
Right.
Like, I just knew through so many parts of it, and you have to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. But to remind yourself that if you really love something so much, you have to keep doing it. You're also going to discover new things along the way. And whatever really doesn't serve you anymore, you got to release it and you got to let it go. If you're like, that's not it, this job isn't it, this person isn't it, like, I'm not feeling good. And then being like open and communicating, because it could also be a situation where like you're with someone or you're working with someone and then you just need to have a conversation, because everybody's human. You don't know what other people are going through. So you have to give yourself grace and the other people grace.
Absolutely.
Because everything is perspective, you know?
Yeah.
And like always coming from a place of love and solutions. Because so many times we can just cut things off or cut people off, and you have to just be like, I'd rather exhaust all my options and solutions before knowing to let someone or something go.
Right.
Depending on what feels right. Because if you feel, I always say, like, if you feel percentage of doubt, it's usually a no. But if you also have like a percentage of like, wait, but I still want to hold on for really good reason, you can hold on a little longer, because either way, you're going to find out.
Right.
Whatever it is. You just got to be open and aware.
Yeah.
And self-awareness, I feel like, is the biggest thing. If more people can just be more aware of everything that goes on in their
Period.
life, like,
That's what we're talking
That
about.
if imagine you don't have self-awareness, and I know people who literally don't.
I know.
People very close to me, and it breaks my heart, because I'm just like, just look at yourself, you know? Like, imagine there's a mirror in front of you, and like, speak to her, like, from like an out, like, be able to look at you from the outside looking in, because that's the only way you could actually like make sense of everything that's going on in your life.
Yeah.
Is to like take a step back. And I also feel like for me, and I think for everyone too, and I know this definitely for you guys, but just being like so insanely grateful for the little things and the things that you don't think are everything. The little things are the big things. For example, I find myself sometimes, if I'm having like an off day, or my day didn't start off the way that I wanted it to, like, I'll get frustrated, like that I have to like take my dogs out and walk them because it's time consuming or whatever. And I'm like, how dare I spend a second taking this for granted and being frustrated over something that's, you know, out of my control, when I'm not always going to have this in my life. And I'm so grateful for it now, and even when it's frustrating or overwhelming, because these are the big things. These are the things that are teaching me patience and being grateful that this is my life and this is what's going on. Like, it could definitely be worse when I'm up in arms about little things that I know don't matter.
I think even, and when you go into those moments, like, every walk I take now, even if it's like to the trash, which isn't often, but I call it a gratitude walk, because I'm really grateful for my morning walks in the morning.
I'm grateful for your legs.
Yeah, and just giving yourself that time. Like, I could be on my phone or I can take a phone call, but I would rather just be like, 10 things I'm grateful for.
Right.
Like, again, what is the energy and the intention that I want to have for the day? Because there's so many different forms of mindfulness and meditation. And some people are like, I can't sit here and I can't sit in silence and I can't journal. And like, sometimes I can't either. And I don't hold that against myself. I'm just like, what's going to make me feel good right now in this moment? Like, every day that I come into this space, and normally I come in alone and I come in a few minutes early, and I sage every corner. Then I do Palo Santo. I talk to my plants. And like, I just want to carry the energy, because I know that every person who steps in here feels it. And like, that's also important to me, but it's healing for me.
Right.
And doing like a little bit of the sound bowls, and it's like, wow, this is everything that I used to do at home. I get to do it here, and you do it for other people. And it's kind of finding the way of sharing that joy, you know, and realizing like, things that we take for granted are so important. And like the first thing I'm thankful for every morning is like my rest and my energy and my health. You know, and that everyone that I know woke up this morning, God willing, you know?
Ooh, yes, girl. That's everything. I wake up with
we're
that.
getting deep.
Yeah, no, but that's everything. It is everything. We're so lucky to wake up. We're so lucky to be healthy, and that our family, everyone in our family is healthy. Like, that's everything. If you don't have your health, or if you don't have yourself, what do you have?
Yeah.
So we have to look out for ourselves and make ourselves strong. And I think even this podcast is such a reflection of like being in the space that we are solo. Like you're in, I know, a very good place, and you've done so much work and so much reflecting, and I have done the same. And like to be sitting here doing this and sharing that and doing it at a larger scale, because I've, you know, the day I met Sally, we had an amazing conversation. I was like, damn, I wish that shit was filmed, because someone could have walked away
and benefited from that.
Yeah, and benefited from that. So
Beautiful
to do
friendship.
this, yeah.
Beautiful friendship. I love you.
Sisterhood.
I love you. This is sisterhood.
It is sisterhood.
It's amazing.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. And I think that Mindful Music Lab is such a beautiful
Oh
reflection
my God.
of that
I'm
too.
so thankful for Mindful Music Lab.
Yeah.
I really am.
Thank you,
I'm
guys.
serious.
They got them good mashed potatoes.
Yeah, cauliflower.
Cauliflower mashed potatoes.
We're all about that health.
Yes.
And that wealth.
Well, that's another aspect of it too, is like treating yourself, taking care of yourself. This weekend I took time to like meditate and clean my space, because like you were saying before, your room is a reflection of your brain. I'm sorry.
Sanctuary.
And even like your phone is too. Like to go and clean things out and, you know, organize and just like feel, I know I got to do it too, trust me. But I cleaned my room and I felt better. I felt like cleansed, you know, like that's me taking care. Like that was my Sunday, and it was a Sunday well spent, because it meant just feeling good again.
I
and
pay
getting
my
that-
best friend to do it for me, but
Listen,
I have
that's
to do it
fine
once a
too.
week.
That's fine too.
Salt in the four corners of your space. Do you know about this? Have we discussed
Salt?
this?
No.
Okay, I'm going to teach everybody how to cleanse your space.
Okay. I need this.
Everybody should have sage and Palo Santo in your home, no matter what. You start with sage first because it gets rid of the negative energy. You start with your doorway, and it's like the corners of the space. So like, even though I'm not that tall and I can't reach that high, it's the intention that counts. And so you sage and you just ask to like protect your space, and like, what do you want to bring into it? So you're like protection and healing and support and love and abundance and success and just peace and anything that you want to say that would bring your sanctuary alive. And then once you're done saging, and you have to like open or crack a window or your door, and then you retrace it with Palo, because then it brings in the positive energy. And then what you can do is you can take like a shot glass espresso cup, or just like a little cup, and you put a really little bit of salt, like 1, 2, 3, 4, like not pouring, but like a kind of like a drizzle where the bottom is coated. And you put it in the four corners of your space, or if you have lots of corners, not every corner, but like what I would do here is like that corner, one in the bathroom, one in that recording studio, one in my office. So it's like a long rectangular, rectangle, right? And then you leave it there for 3 days, and it kind of soaks up all the negative energy. And you can Google this. And I usually do it around the new moon and the full moon. And I would do it every 2 weeks, and I dump it out. And immediately it's like, if I felt something was off, and I used to do Reiki sessions in my apartment before I had this space, if I didn't go to somebody else. And so when you're cleansing someone's energy, now that's in the home, in the place that you sleep, like,
Oh, yeah.
I would get irritable.
Right.
And it felt off. And so I would do salt like every week, and you would immediately feel it. Immediately. Dump it, redo it. Dump it, redo it.
I gotta do
So you
that.
guys try that, and I'm curious to
I'll
know,
try
like,
it.
let me
I
know
have
how
a
it feels.
question about sage and stuff. Are you supposed to put it out?
I put it out.
You put it out?
I know that some people have like rules with like candle and sage and stuff, but I light a little bit of it. I'm like, whatever. And it goes out by itself, or I put it out. Like, I just believe in like the intention behind
Yeah,
everything
I was
more than
gonna
like
say
the
that.
ritual, because like, it's like, I love crystals, but I don't worship it. I'm just
Right.
like, wow, I'll touch it. It feels nice. Or like, I'm wearing crystals all over me, and like, this is citrine, and it's for abundance and success and prosperity and like groundedness. And for me, like, I saw it and I thought it was so beautiful, and I had to have it. Like, I
Yeah.
left that day with it, and it makes me feel so good when I wear it. And like, I love tattoos, but I don't have any because I'm not ready yet to commit, but I can commit to jewelry. So I'm like covered, you know?
So it's more about like the intention of it. It's
yeah,
not-
and
you're
how it
not
makes you feel.
worshiping
Yeah. I'm not like, oh my
yeah.
God, this moonstone
Right.
is making my life glow. And I love the moon. So let's Let's be clear on that. I love the moon. She's my girl. But everything else, I'm just like, wow, like this brings me joy. This brings me joy. Like everything on my body brings me joy.
Love.
And if there's one thing that doesn't, it will not be on here.
Yes.
And it's even like if I'm wearing like sweatpants and a sweatshirt and I love my life and that's what I want to wear that day. Like everything you do needs to be with joy, period. And if you have anything to carry for the rest of this month, whenever you are called to this episode, I want your mantra or your word of the month or for the next 4 weeks to be to enjoy, because you are in your joy, enjoy. And I love words, obviously. Songwriter, author extraordinaire. But you have to, I think, if the first of every month, pick a word that means something to you, you know? So like I knew at the beginning of this year, like I had a blockage of receiving. And I'm such a natural giver and pleaser that like I would do everything for everybody else, but I wouldn't allow them to do it for me. And then I realized that like I wasn't even thinking about how when people would want to do something nice for me or offer help and I would say no, it's because I felt bad. And then they felt like I shut them down, you know? And so it was to surrender, and then it was to allow, and then it was to receive. But I'm going to create a new word now. And I want you both to create a word.
Give it to me.
But everybody else, it's to enjoy. What's yours?
Oh my gosh, no, you can't put me on the
Okay,
spot.
so what's
I feel
yours?
Like not ready.
What's
My
yours?
word?
What's your word?
Is surrender a negative word? Because when you said that,
Never.
I'm like, I really need to just surrender to.
So I'm gonna
my
explain
peace.
to you what surrender is. It's a beautiful word. There's nothing negative about any word, except that's not true. Like
It's the intention behind it.
the last page of my book, of this book, says, "What would you risk when life gets in the way?" And the reason why I did that on the last page is because I want people to fill it in and write it out. Because at that point in my life, I felt that I risked a lot to be able to be where I was at that point in time. But risk, in my opinion, from my perspective, is connected to failure, because that's just what society has kind of taught us. So for my second book, that will be finished whenever I have time. But I say that I took a chance on myself, because a chance is linked to opportunity, which is positive.
Right.
You know, like I chose selfish because the word selfish has a negative connotation and it means you choose yourself over others. But for me, I was choosing everybody else anyway. I needed to be selfish in order to grow and move forward. So I'm like, I'm not being selfish, I'm being selfish because I'm actually choosing me, and it ends up being really beautiful. And it's a huge reason why I'm here today, you know? So when you surrender, I want you to think of like when we're holding on for our dear life and you're holding on to this rod. I actually have a surrender course that I never came out with. I'm just gonna send it to you.
Let's go.
I remember COVID happened and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do all these courses because like everything's
Surrender
virtual.
course.
And I never did it because I was just like, I need a break actually.
Wow.
So I have like you
Surrender's a good word.
Yeah.
I like this word.
Yeah.
you imagine like holding on to like a rod.
I'm picturing myself literally, I don't know why my brain is going here, but I'm picturing myself hanging from a helicopter in the middle. This is like how I feel. Like,
Yeah.
It's like the symbolism of my life. But hanging on and just like letting go into the unknown, and it's all good. And I know that it is, and I trust, and I know who I am, and no one can take that away from me. I know that I'm good. I know that I'm wholeheartedly good, and I want good, and that's all that I'm made up of. Like I literally don't know anything else. So like,
We're gonna do an exercise. Are you ready?
Let's just let go and
Close your
relax.
eyes for a moment.
Okay.
You both can. And I want you to imagine that you're holding on to this helicopter,
Okay.
but it's literally only 2 feet off the ground. Like if you actually dangled your feet, you can probably touch the floor. And I want you to imagine that you're in a really like cozy lavender field.
Ooh.
And it's like delicious. Like there's no bugs.
No bugs.
No bugs.
Yeah, okay.
There's actually like a
I love
picnic
this.
blanket, and it's
Stunning.
cushiony, and maybe it's like a mattress topper as well. So when you surrender and you let go, you literally just gracefully lay down. It's not a fall, it's not a drop, it's not scary, and you're supported. So when we think of surrendering, it's letting go because you're allowing like greatness to come upon you, compared to thinking that when you surrender, it's scary. It's like, oh my God. Surrendering is really allowing all the most amazing things to happen for you without you even trying, because you're leaving room for magic and you're creating space. So we don't need to think, like one of the most beautiful things in life is actually letting go. And then you just breathe through it.
Right.
And I don't want you to think of even a helicopter. I'd rather you like think of something else that's amazing. Like, I don't know. We'll think about it. Maybe it's like a diving board in a pool and you're not diving forward. You're kind of just like soaking in and melting away. So when you picture and visualize things that aren't as scary, it gets easier.
Right.
Just like when I say like you're at the edge of a cliff, people think that they're gonna fall and drown. Well, I'm like, what if I jumped and I flew? Metaphorically, it feels better. And then you're in the sky and you're like floating on a cloud. You're like, life is great, pass the joint.
Period.
You know?
Yes.
So we just have to look at life differently. Like we forget, like when I say like we're in this human being experience, we really are. Like I've never felt more in a human being experience creating this space, because I was like, wow, like I can't believe this is happening, and it's happening so fast, and things are going really well, thankfully, like just through the build out process and realizing like someone else is making everything happen for me, and I'm just trying to be conscious of the decision and not being upset about things that would normally upset a person, because I know that like source is in charge, or God, or the universe, or whatever. So you kind of got to look at things that way. So I think surrender is beautiful.
Yeah.
And I actually have a sticky note on my dresser that says surrender to the universe, that I've had since COVID 3 years ago. And it's still there. So I think that should be your word.
Yeah. I love
And
that.
make it beautiful.
It is fucking beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Floating on a
I
cloud. What's
fucking
yours?
love surrender
Do you,
too.
I think you should share it,
Yeah.
sisters.
I think we both need that.
I definitely think I need that. I mean, I feel
Again,
like I
it's
work
just
on it
letting
every
go
day.
of any control that you have, or like, you know, fear that's kind of like debilitating you in your life. Like, you know that. And I could give this advice to anyone, but for some reason when it comes to myself, I'm like having a
So you need to speak from your higher self,
Right.
and your hype womanness. Like
Right.
when really great things happen, I speak from my higher self, and I'm like, I'm so proud of you, or like, I'm so proud of her, you know? And you're,
You ever like see like a baby picture of yourself, and like, you know, you would never talk badly to the baby
I
version
do a lot of inner
yourself,
child
you
work,
know?
especially with my clients.
Right.
And I'm like,
you have to look at yourself and be like, you did this. Like, look at you and where you are in your life. Like, maybe I don't feel as accomplished as I want to be, but like, I'm here, and like, I'm a good person, and I'm happy, and I you know, I share that with other people, and I want other people to feel good. Like, that's enough to be proud of.
yeah.
And just to like have that be the overall theme in my every single day life, like, makes such a difference.
Be proud, like waking up in the morning on your hardest day.
Right.
Like even people who feel really anxious or went through a breakup or have lost or lost their job, and they're like, fuck, now what? Like, be proud and like wake up and go for a walk outside.
Yeah.
Because so many times, like I know, like we're on the second level here, right? And then I live in a high rise. So sometimes I'm like so in the air, like we're meant to be on the floor. So I know
Grounding.
that like, yeah, the grounded walks are really
Yeah.
important. Nature is really important. With the studio, I'm like, wow, like look at the beautiful palm trees that we're looking out outside. Like
Stunning.
that's where the moon is. You watch the sunset over there. Like the sun, it's so beautiful when you really check in and look what's around you.
Right.
And just add it into your life as something that's positive.
I think like for me, it was like training that made that switch go off in my mind, where I was like showing up on the days that you don't want to, or you know, when it's so easy to talk yourself out of doing what it is that you know that you feels right and that you should be doing, but sometimes it's hard to do that. And on the days where you feel trapped, like from your own thoughts, which is like such a crazy thing, but to show up anyways, and even if it's not the best workout or the best walk or the best hangout with your friend, like it's just moving forward and like just being
Yeah.
better than you were yesterday. And the gym for me was something that taught me that and how to like plug it into everything else in my life. But holy shit, what a teacher.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's the biggest teacher. On my worst days, I always end up having the clients that teach me the most. Like I like do not want to be there.
And you wanted to be like, I
wanna
need to call
stay
out.
home. I want to call out.
Right.
And then of course every client that sits in my chair teaches me something. It makes me like talk, and I have to like open up and get vulnerable. I'm like, okay, this is why I had to come to work today.
Yeah, and it feels
Learning.
good. It feels
Yeah.
good. I think that even that one time when I came to you when I was having a bad day,
Yeah.
but I need my hair done.
Same. I'm
And she
coming
did something for
soon.
me. I was like, wow, like, look, I got outside, and yes, I got my hair done, but like, that made me feel better, and I feel better about myself because I got out, and I like just decided, and I worked out, and just 1% better every single day.
1% better. Love that. I tell my brother that, and he reminds me, and that like has helped me through so many times.
Yeah. Especially like everything is good right now, girls. Like we look good. We got legs, we got feet, we got hair. We're so blessed.
So blessed.
We're so blessed. And we just want to share that with everyone who's listening to us. That's the mission here, I think, overall in this space. But for us in this podcast, that's what we want to do. So
Thank you
so
for
happy.
helping
We're
bless the
so
space.
Oh, thank
Thanks
you.
for
With your
being
energy.
here
Yeah.
and just having us.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
like,
existing.
this is-
I love it. I
Thank
love
you
it.
so
I love
much.
you.
Love you guys too.
And I'm so
amazing.
happy you got to bless our podcast. I mean, what a perfect first
Oh my God.
guest.
Finally.
It's gonna
So
be hard.
good.
It's gonna be hard to top it. But yeah, that's a wrap on today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This did something for me. I mean, I love walking
a
away
lot for
from
me.
every episode and being like, ooh, that shit feels good. So that's it for today. We
Thank
love you
you.
guys, and we'll see you
Enjoy.
next week. Enjoy, yes. Enjoy. I love it.